Assalamu alaikum and very good morning to all of you, dear students. We are learning class 8 science biology. Dear students, previously I already gave you the mind map of two chapters, that is chapter number 1 crop production and management, and chapter number 2 microorganisms, friends and foe. Okay, now this is the third chapter mind map. I am going to give you actually the chapter number 8 in your textbook, that is cell structure and functions. Okay, after completing this 3 chapters mind map revision, we will start a new chapter from the next video. Okay, dear students, so please pay attention over here in the mind map of chapter number 8 cell, a structure and functions. Still, those who having any doubt in this chapter, please clear your doubts, dear students, because this is a very basic chapter of the biology. If you will go with the further studies 9th 10th, not only 9th and 11th 12th, and if you are further also going to you have interest in biology, then this chapter should be very much clear to you that what is actually a cell, dear students, right? That we almost you have heard that all the organisms, either they are the unicellular or multicellular, a single bacteria or a huge animals like elephant, whale, all that organisms, or we can talk about the plants, that all include means they all are made up with the cells, they all composed with the cell, and each and every life, or we can say each and every cell, arises from the pre-existing cell. So before that you have to be learn that what is this cell actually, right, dear students? So if we go with the hierarchy, that if we are taking a human body, that human body is made up with different kind of organ systems, right? Now that particular organ systems are made up with different kind of organs. For example, if we take a small respiratory tract, or we can take a digestive system, that a particular digestive system is made up with different types of organs, beginning from the mouth, then esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, anus. Also so many different glands are included in this particular digestive system. So many different organs combined together and one system form, right? So this particular organ system combined together and forms a body. Okay, so if this particular organ system combines together, means different organs are combined together and form a particular organ system. Now how organ can be formed, dear students? So different tissues. Now what is tissue? Tissues are the group of cells. So finally a particular body is made up with the cell. So we have to be learn over here in this chapter that what is this cell actually. So if we'll go with the very first part of this chapter, that is cell is the structural unit and functional unit. This is a very basic question and many time asked also, dear student, that why cell is called as structural unit and why cell is called as functional unit. Structural unit, because now I told you, dear students, that up from cell, different cells combine together and form tissues, different tissues combine together and form one particular organ, different organs combine together forms organ system, and different organ system join together and form a particular body. So overall cell is the basic unit, right? So overall cell is the fundamental unit, and so for that it is called as structural unit. Whereas why it is called as functional unit? Because whatever the functions occur in our body, either the functions or the respiration or the excretion or the digestion, or we can say even the removal of the energy from our body, all these particular functions done in that particular unit which is called as cell. Getting, dear students? That is why cell is called as structural unit also as well as functional unit also. Now if we'll move further with this chapter moves up to the number of cells present into the particular organisms. Okay, on the basis of the cells present inside the organism, the particular organisms are divided into two types: unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. Unicellular, uni means one and cellular means cell system, that a particular organisms which having only one cell present into their body, they are called as unicellular organisms. Whereas multi means many, that a particular organisms which have more number of cells are present, so many cells are present, they are called as multicellular organisms. So on the basis of the cells present into particular organism, number of the cells, organisms are divided into two types: unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms examples are amoeba and protozoa. Now amoeba, protozoa, bacteria, these all organisms are unicellular organisms, and mostly all the activities, digestion, excretion, respiration, ingestion, whatever the activities are doing, all the activities done by the single cell only. Whereas the multicellular organisms are plants, human beings, fungus, so many different animals are there in multicellular organisms. So here in multicellular organisms, what happened, different cells are divided in particular work. Some of the cells are doing the work of digestion, some of the cells are doing the work of the excretion, respiration, etc. So getting, dear students, that as the number of cells are present in particular body, the organisms are divided into two types, that is unicellular and multicellular. Okay, if we come to the next part of this chapter, cells having different shapes and size also. The size and shape of particular cells varies from one organism to another organism. Some of the shapes are given in your textbook, that is, if a cell having spherical shape, it should be a red blood cells. Spindle shape, that is muscle cells, and long branch cells, they are the nerve cell. And might be we can say that longest cells of human body are the nerve cells, which may around reach up to the length of 90 centimeter, 90, dear students. Getting, so size and shape of cells are varies from one organism to another organism. And why it is so? Because a particular cells have to do a particular functions, and that is why that shape and size are varies. Okay, if we move further with this chapter, functions, different functions of the cell. So which are the functions of the cell here? That is respires, as now I told you, reproduction, of course, excretes and digest food. Beside this reproduction, respiration, excretion, digestion, so many other biochemical activities are also going inside our one unit, that is called as cell, and all that activities are done by the cell only. Okay, and dear students, here also you should have to be remembered that in unicellular organisms, all these particular activities or this biochemical activities done by a single cell only, whereas in multicellular organisms, a particular work should be divided into group of cells, and that particular group of cells are called as tissues. Okay, moving further, cell types, that how many types of cells are there? Actually, basically, if we are going to tell here that prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cell divides into prokaryotic and eukaryotic. So here you should have to be learn that what is prokaryotic and what is eukaryotic. The main difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic is the nucleus, dear students. That what is nucleus? Actually, that nucleus is the control center of the cell, right? But in prokaryotic cell, the nucleus is not very much clearly defined, because nucleus does not have any kind of layer or any kind of membrane. In which organism? In prokaryotic organism, they have genetic material, they have chromatin material, but the chromatin material is not embedded into the particular layer, it is just freely moving inside the nucleus. Whereas in eukaryotic organism, a well defined nucleus we can say with a nuclear membrane, एक particular envelope के अंदर पूरा genetic material fit किया हुआ होता है in eukaryotic cell. So this is the basic difference. That is why the organisms, those who having defined nucleus, they are called as eukaryotic cell, and those who do not have defined nucleus, they are called as prokaryotic cell. Now prokaryotic cell, again bacteria and blue green algae, and examples of eukaryotic cells are onion cells and chick cells, which you had already observed under the microscope, that how onion cells and how chick cells looks under the microscope. In that you have clearly seen the nucleus at the center of the cell. which is darkly stained in color. Okay, so they are the eukaryotic cell which having the nucleus is very much well defined. You can clearly see the nucleus in the center of the cell or the side of the cell. They are called as eukaryotic cell, whereas in prokaryotic cell you cannot clearly see or you cannot clearly identify the nucleus. They all are called as prokaryotic cell. Now another cell types are plant cell and animal cell. Mainly for class 8 you have to learn about the plant cell and animal cell, that what is the difference between plant cell and animal cell, and how plant cell and animal cell looks. If we go further into detail of this topic, dear student, that is plant cell and animal cell. So very first difference is that plant cell has the cell wall, whereas cell wall is absent in animal cell. This is the very basic and clear difference between plant cell and animal cell, that cell wall is present in plant cell whereas it is absent in animal cell. Generally plant cell is regular in shape, and it has risen also because plant has the cell wall, and due to the cell wall plants have a very regular shape. Plant cell has a very regular shape, whereas animal cell is generally irregular in shape. If you have observed the onion cell and chick cell, there also you can clearly see that onion cells are particular rectangular shape combined togetherly form with each other, whereas chick cells are irregular in shape. Another difference we can say that plant cells are larger in size, whereas animal cells are smaller in size rather than the plant cells. Then plant cells having a large vacuole, a big bag-like structure is present in plant cell, whereas animal cells also have the vacuole, but that particular vacuole is small and sometimes temporary. It is not permanent in animal cell. Okay, moving with the next part of this chapter given into your textbook, that is cell parts, that what is present inside the cell. Okay, so any of the cell having three particular organelles present in it. The first is cell membrane, also it is called as plasma membrane. Plasma membrane allows the movement of the material from inside to outside or outside to inside of the cell. That is called as plasma membrane or cell membrane. The second is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a liquid jelly-like material present inside the cell which helps the particular organelles to move or to do their activities properly inside the cell. The third is cell wall. That only present in the plant cell and absent in animal cell, and different organelles are present inside the cytoplasm. Now which organelles are present? Organelles like mitochondria, Golgi body and ribosomes. Mitochondria is called as powerhouse of the cell because it produces energy for doing different activities of the body. Golgi body, ribosomes and so many other organelles are also present inside the cell. Okay, remember over here nucleus is also a very important part of the cell, because nucleus is called as control center of the cell, or it is also called as brain of the cell, because it controls all the activities done inside the cell. Okay, now which are the parts of the nucleus? That nucleus having the chromosomes. What are chromosomes? Chromosomes are the genetic material on which genes are present, on which all the codings are present of any organism. Second is nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane is one outer covering layer in which all these chromosomes are attached or considered. The third is nucleolus. Nucleolus is a small round like structure present inside the nucleus. And third is nuclear pore. That nucleus having holes on its envelope through which the materials gets entered inside the nucleus as well as exit also. Okay, now next part of this chapter, that is difference between plant cell and animal cell. Now only we had discussed that if we move with the plant cell, that plastid, chloroplast, chromoplast present. What is plastid? Plastid is an important organelle present inside the plant through which plant can take its prepare its food. For example, chloroplast having chlorophyll pigment through which it can do the process of photosynthesis and prepare its food. Second is vacuole is large and salval is present, whereas the animal cell has the different, plastid is absent because animal cells cannot prepare their food with their own. Salval are also absent and vacuoles are small. Same chloroplast, chromoplast, any kind of plastid is absent inside the plant. So, any kind of plastid is absent inside the animal. Plastid is only present in plant. So, please write it down, this mind map, into your notebook.